it also is the specifier's responsibility to specify a fit-for-purpose product.
That's right. Yeah.
Because if they specify a white carpet in a high-traffic area, well, that is not sustainable because you're not going to be able to maintain it. It's going to look filthy, and they're going to replace it in a year. Yeah.
I do a CPD for architects and designers called Design with Climate in Mind, and it's that very point. You have to look at all aspects of your design.
Yeah.
You know, are you putting in something that's fit for purpose? Is it going to have longevity?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to those materials end of life? Are they sustainably sourced? Social impacts you have to be aware of as well.
Welcome to Let's Talk Sustainability. It's great to have you on the pod. We really appreciate it.
It's great to be here today. It really is.
And for all our listeners out there that don't know who Aidan is, crazy if you don't know who he is, because he is a living legend. Sustainability and lean manager at Interface. Welcome.
I was wondering where that was going.
A living legend, a legend in my own lunchbox.
A legend in your own lunchbox, that's right.
That's exactly
How
it.
are you?
So good.
I am very good. I'm very good.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for coming out to the studio.
No, a pleasure.
Bit of a trek.
Anyone wants to talk sustainability, I'm there.
Greensboro is, not exactly CBD, but when we say Melbourne could mean, the difference between New York and Connecticut.
Yeah, that put me off a bit. I mean, Greensboro, I think I put a lot of emissions out there today getting here.
Looking over
Well,
green
So
on the way.
my footprint for this interview is very high.
It's being offset.
Wait, who's offsetting?
We'll work that out.
We talk about offsets later.
Yeah.
That's another
I'm not a
podcast.
fan.
Let's
That
talk
is-
offsetting.
Let's talk offsets.
Yeah.
Not. Okay, cool. So, Aidan, tell us a bit about yourself, your background, where'd you grow up? Sounds like you've got a bit of an accent.
I thought you guys had the accent actually, But look, I grew up in Ireland, Northern Ireland.
Yes.
I'm in the role I am today because I graduated from Queen's University in Belfast.
Wonderful.
Way before you guys were born. So we're talking 79 when I came out of college.
That was just before me.
It was just before, was it?
Yeah.
There you go. And I started my career as an engineer in petrochemicals.
Really?
So an oil refinery in Whitegate, a little village in Cork, right across from Cove, where the Titanic sailed from all those years ago. And
Cool.
I spent my first couple of years as an engineer
Wow.
in the oil business. And then I moved into pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
And Ireland is very big on pharmaceuticals.
Wow.
The corporate tax there is so low. Mr. Trump's
Also
not happy
tech.
with that at all.
Wow.
But yeah, we'd have Merck Sharp and Doe, Eli Lilly, Pfizer. I
Really?
think the first Viagra was produced in Cork.
There you go.
A little fact I got many.
This took a turn.
Yeah,
I just didn't
not
think
many
we were
people
going
know
there.
that.
We've gone
I'm just setting the scene here.
Yeah, no, it's good.
sustainability, oil,
That's right.
Viagra,
That's right.
somehow back to sustainability. That's amazing.
This is a cracking episode.
I love
All
it.
right. So anyway, I spent over 20 years working with the company. We actually extracted a lot of medicinal products from naturally occurring materials like leaves, roots, bark, seeds. So ginkgo biloba was the big one, and it was a German-French company. So I travelled a bit with that. Worked in Switzerland, China, and then came out here to Australia about 23, 24 years ago.
Wow.
And got a job as a sustainability and lean manager.
Wait, straight off.
No, not straight off, because when I came out here first, I was relaxing. I'd finished up a role as operations manager in the pharmaceuticals, and I was taking it easy, and I ran a small business for a while,
Yeah.
which I thought would be sustainable. Interesting enough, that was a very circular economy type business that I got into. It was actually remanufacturing toner cartridges.
Really?
Yes.
There you go.
Wonderful.
And that died a death simply because, and that was my first lesson in life. You see a lot of companies talk about circular economy and recycling these cartridges. And recycling meant grinding them up into powder and making them into rubbish. Rather than manufacturing them into something that was usable or reusable.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And of course, that whole operation was driven by the OEM's manufacturing, because it's all about consumption.
Yes.
So you could buy a printer in those days for a quarter of the price of the cartridge.
Yeah.
The cartridge is just what you're buying,
Yes.
and the printer's free. Because
That's
once
right.
you get that printer, you just have to keep replenishing those cartridges.
It's funny you say that. What piqued my interest in sustainability was back in my architecture student days, I took a year working at Officeworks in one of those awesome blue polos, just so I could print for free.
Yeah.
Because I was spending about $80 a week on printing, and I
click.
thought, there's a better way to do this.
Yeah.
So I would
Get paid to print.
Get paid to print. That's right.
That's
Printing
right.
was free. People would buy $40, $50 printers because it came with an ink cartridge in there, and then just come back because we had a recycling scheme where we would chuck it out the back.
I know that scheme
and just
very
buy
well.
a new printer because it was cheaper than buying a new ink pad. And I thought, this is insanity.
Yeah.
So much waste.
Oh, it is, and that's exactly it. So if you're talking circular economy, you want to really disconnect that consumption from the use of finite resources, and that's what printing's all about.
Yes.
And really, we shouldn't even have to have a printer here. I'm looking around the room. Yeah, I know.
No.
Yeah. I see a little model of a Tesla over there, which is super.
He's a bit of a Tesla fanatic.
A little nod to sustainability there, which is good. But so moving into interface then was great. And initially, my understanding was yes, it was a sustainability role, but I wasn't sure how serious the company was about that. And quite honestly, it only took me a few weeks being within the company to realize that their website did not actually state really the depth of purpose behind the business.
Yeah.
It didn't really come across that clearly. Yet when you're in the business and working with the people within the organization, you could see that it was just that purpose was instilled in everyone.
Yes, they're passionate about
Yeah,
it.
that's right. And that's a struggle, maintaining that. So part of my role was actually to ensure that sustainability, I don't like that word, but that purpose was embedded within the organization.
Yeah.
And that we would focus on setting some really audacious targets as part of our Mission Zero initiative at the time.
Yeah.
And work with everyone internally to achieve those. And then as the years went on, being a mouthy type, I was sort of more client facing, get out there and tell the world about it as well.
Okay.
So,
Wonderful.
and working with our clients, everyone within our community, within the flooring industry, to change the way we're doing things, to try and improve the way we're doing things, to reduce our environmental impacts and start thinking about climate,
So 23 years ago, were many people thinking about sustainability back then?
Do you know, greenwash was the thing back then. Everything was eco this, eco-friendly, green this, bio that. And really it was very much a nod to being sustainable. Yes, there was, the warnings on climate have been going for 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
But, it's like everything else, it was just a lip service, I think, to sustainability then. And that's why, like a company like Interface 30 years ago, taking a stand and going, we're going to change the way we're doing things.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was exceptional. It's not exceptional now. So that has changed.
Yeah.
And indeed...
you would be very surprised if there was a big manufacturer that had no plan, nothing in place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing about the transparency and the measurements around what they're doing is really what's important. So everybody can have a plan, Ben, absolutely. But can you put the scores up in the doors, show progress against plan? I think that's so important. And I think that's a big change as well, because you've got a more savvy market out there. Younger people coming through now, they realize, this something wrong here.
Yeah.
We're talking about recycling plastic bottles, and when really we should be talking about why are we using bottled water in the first place?
Yes.
And starting to look at cutting these things and nipping them in the bud effectively, because I think we've a much more intelligent, informed market, and therefore companies can't get away with what they used to.
Yeah.
And I think Interface never tried to get away with anything, but at the end of the day, being like a leader, being first out there, would have given us a sustainability advantage, a market advantage. Yeah, and it shouldn't. Sustainability shouldn't give you a competitive edge.
Yeah.
So you'd say you'd be working towards that being the norm across your products?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you have to keep raising the bar.
Yes.
There's always this inclination to sort of bring everybody back down to the level of the slowest mover.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
Yeah.
I keep hearing about, your big companies are doing this, small companies just don't have the money to do that. Well, those small companies have to get on board and at least show that they're committed.
Well, it's the everyday decision, isn't it?
That's right.
It's like you have a decision for basically everything, and you can decide to take a path that is more sustainable or potentially not sustainable.
And the path
As
is
it
more
always are.
sustainable as the hard path.
Yeah.
It really is. It's not easy. I have to say that, and maintaining it is not easy. You can see even currently the way big organisations, even nations, are backing off from their climate targets.
Yeah. Stepping away from the Paris Accord agreement.
This sort of stepping back a bit and going, hold on a bit. This is getting very hard. And that's the whole challenge. It's not going to be easy. And you have to be serious about it.
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing.
So what would you say, so you enter Interface, you introduce this new, let's call it rubric of how we're going to be sustainable. Was there resistance around that, or was it there just a buy-in to, are you coming up with new initiatives on how you can improve their products, or,
A good question. And I think, I wasn't there at the start, although I'm halfway there. We're talking 30 years ago. Well, 1994, that's when Ray Anderson had that spear in the chest epiphany. That's when he changed things around. Yeah. And yes, there would have been resistance. And I've read about it and I've heard about it. And there's a great movie, Beyond Zero, made just about Interface and doing that. And I think Ray kept it a bit quiet initially. He didn't want to really spook the horses out there in the market, saying, what's this crazy guy doing? He's looking at becoming cyclical like nature, a circular economy, going on renewable energy, reduces impacts. It's all warm and fuzzy stuff, but, he didn't want to do that. And I think initially really was working internally. But if you've got internal financial officer and you can stand up to them and say, look, if you go down this road, you're going to cut waste.
Yes.
You're going to increase your profits. You're going to make better products. You're going to hold the best people. I'm not going to say no to that. You're going to gain market share. You're not going to say no to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that the organisation started to see that happen. And really, and we've been through trials and tribulations. It has not been a smooth run.
Yeah.
We've been in sort of moments of, high energy and then becalmed, wondering where our purpose is going.
Yeah.
But always, I think it's been within the organisation to rethink, look for the opportunities and start back up again.
I love that.
Well, there's a tension there, isn't there?
Oh, yes.
Between producing a sustainable product and wanting to sell more of the product. Do you know? So it's like...
Absolutely. More? Do we need more? I shouldn't be saying this. I'm sure our corporation said, yes, of course we need more.
We can clean it.
More is fine if you're doing it the right way. And I think that's it, to make products sustainably.
Yeah.
To reduce those impacts. Because initially our goal was to get to a point where we were doing no environmental harm. That was mission zero.
Yeah.
And that was a 2020 goal for Ray. And he never lived to see that, actually, which was a shame. But as we actually approached that target, we started to think, well, hold on, what's the next big audacious target?
Yes.
And we actually did a poll of our people internally. And I remember doing about 30 interviews internally. It was one of the first things I was doing as part of my job. What should we do next? Big audacious target, go beyond zero.
Yeah.
Become restorative. Cool. And set that target on it. And that was key. And that's where we come with this whole new initiative to become carbon negative by 2040.
Yeah.
And, I know we were joking about offsets earlier, but offsets do not play a part in that.
I agree with
you.
It has to be
cool.
real emissions reductions.
It's almost a last resort. Something's gone wrong. We haven't been able to meet it. Let's look into restorative methods.
Yeah, I mean...
But even then, it's...
There is a need. I mean, we were actually, up until last year, a carbon neutral enterprise.
Yep.
So all our business... any remaining emissions were being mitigated by the purchase of offsets.
And a lot of people were, I think.
Oh, yeah. And still are.
Until... it's like anything new. It sounds great at first. Seems right. And as the rest of the industry becomes more sustainable and more sustainability education is passed around, I think then there's an awareness of maybe we can do things better than this.
I mean, the three things that we need to know about climate is, one, it's real. I think that's the first thing. So I think don't have to convince you guys at the table or the sound man behind here. We're all good here, guys.
Well, we got to live here.
You got to live
on
here.
the earth.
So it's real. Second thing is we're causing it. You know, my taxi out here today actually put a fair footprint on it. It was a long way.
That's what I'm bringing up the taxi. We will be taking an Uber Green from
I'm not
here.
walking back. And the third thing is we can do something about it. And I think really it's about emissions reductions, and that's what we've realised. So real emissions reductions is what counts.
Yes.
And to achieve real emissions reductions, a couple of things. It's about materials, it's about energy. That's the one side, that's the carbon side of it. But then the finite resources that we have on this planet. So circular economy is the other element. And do what you're talking about in your business, extending the life of fluorine,
Yes.
cleaning, maintenance, refurbishment, that is top of the hierarchy when it comes to driving a circular economy business model.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found the amount of waste, particularly in the flooring industry, is incredible, and the opportunity there to be a little bit smarter about how we supply. First of all, our wastage percentages, our off cuts, and what we do with those off cuts through. I know we were talking earlier about ResiLoop and Interface's involvement with various organisations and how you take back carpet.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about some of the initiatives Interface do? Because I know they do some really cool things around carpet recycling and shed some light on that.
And that's, we were talking sort of recycling and the negatives around recycling initially, but the thing is about it, what Ray Anderson realised was that, you've got this valuable material. People talk about it as a diversion from landfill. Landfill isn't the issue when it comes to carpet. It does no harm when it's buried. Okay. Australia's a big place. And we put lots of holes in the ground to dig all that coal out. So you could get rid of a lot of carpet.
And then
we just need to clip just that part.
I know. It's a big place. And I'm coming from Ireland, I know. But
that's great.
It's not the issue. That's not the moral issue. The moral issue is that's a valuable resource.
Yes.
Finite resources. So, and carpet initially was all based on petrochemicals. The plastics that go into it, the yarn, the polyester primary backing, the vinyl, the plasticizers are all petroleum based. So our model is going away from that. So changing the materials, that's the initiatives.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely. Reimagining the product. So we're looking at using a lot more recycled content, which we are doing anyway.
Yeah.
I think at this stage, globally, our products are over 52% recycled content.
Yeah, wow.
And that's all the products. And that would include also bio-based material. So in other words, you've got some plants here, sequestering carbon, smart industrial chemistry, you can convert those plants into products, raw materials that we can use in our carpet.
Cool.
And that's captured carbon in the product.
Are you mixing that into existing plastic-based or petroleum-based materials with a goal to
as
one
like
day,
a transition.
a transitional period into that? Or
That's already, back in 2017, we developed the first carbon negative carpet backing, which contained a lot of sequestered carbon or stored carbon.
Cool.
Okay.
And that's what gave it this negativity. And I'm talking cradle to gate here because we have to be very careful. Even with all the numbers and the data, some companies still twist them and still do a bit of greenwashing around, what they do and what they don't do. So you look at cradle to gate, the raw materials extracted, the energy used, the products made. And if you can use
what does the gate part of that?
The gate is really cradle to gate. This is, we stock. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I just jumped in there. I'm not talking to a couple of morons here. These guys are very smart, actually. Actually, they're really smart questions because we use it all the time. And this is probably where we switch people off talking about sustainability. If you're looking at a carbon footprint, so you think of all the emissions associated with the manufacture of your product.
Yes.
So cradle is the extraction of the materials from the ground, let's say petroleum products, getting them to a factory, creating raw materials, transporting those raw materials, let's say to our factory in Minto here in Australia, and then we manufacture the product. And at each step along the way, there are emissions associated with that. And it's all about burning fossil fuels.
Yes.
So the total emissions from extraction to setting the product on the dock is cradle to gate.
Right. So you capture those transport emissions.
That's it. Oh, wonderful. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
You capture transport emissions, and anywhere you're using energy and anywhere along your supply chain, their emissions. And that's what you're measuring.
Yeah.
And Interface has been measuring its emissions since 1996.
Yeah, wow.
So we're talking scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, and that goes in even deeper again, because scope 3 are all the emissions associated with the value chain, the supply chain, the raw materials, the transport, the equipment we use, the services we use, business travel.
Yeah.
Out here today, I'm back to that taxi again. My scope 3 emissions today. But those emissions are 97% of our footprint.
Yeah.
So that's what we actually, and once you measure, you can actually focus on where you want to reduce your emissions. And that's what we do at Interface.
Wonderful.
And that's how we've achieved over 82% reduction in footprint emissions since 96 when we started measure.
Interesting.
And there's a bit to go. And that bit to go is really about then reimagining those materials, getting more bio-based materials in there, using nature to supply rapidly renewable products and materials that we can reuse. And also, to your point, this is a long way around, isn't it? Bringing back the carpet that we actually put in the market in the first place. That's valuable raw material. The reason you want to divert that from landfill is to reuse those materials rather than extract more.
So in Australia, as far as I'm aware, there's no significant, recycling of existing carpet tiles. Is there? I know in the States and in Europe there are programs.
Yeah.
There is.
There's not.
No.
There's not. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And actually, this is the thing. So when it comes to take back, sometimes we think take back is the be all and end all. So you're talking circular economy model. So what you want to do is ensure these materials aren't lost. You imagine building a massive skyscraper worth billions of dollars. At the end of life, let's say 50, 60 years, it's road base. It gets demolished. There's a report come out there recently, even on construction, 141 kilos per metre squared of waste going to landfill.
Yeah.
A lot of our resource people would say that's diverted, but only 1 kilo of that gets diverted.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
That's a recent report. GBCA, I was at a GBCA event a couple of weeks ago, and that was a shocking statistic. So when it comes to take back, really you're talking circular economy, and the first thing really circular economy is, how much do you really require? How can you design out waste when you're putting your product together? Modularity is key. Modularity actually reduced a lot of waste. If you were to compare waste associated with a modular carpet install versus a broadloom, it's a fifth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So right away, that cradle to gate impact has been reduced.
Of course.
On waste.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing you're focused at. And then you start looking at the materials with the modularity. You look at the quantity of materials.
Yeah.
Our carpet tiles are lighter than they were 20 years ago.
Yes.
We don't use bitumen in the backing anymore.
Yeah.
We went over to this reinforced vinyl composite. It is actually recyclable. That's a great word, recyclable. It doesn't mean it says recycle.
Yes.
That's right. You see it all the time. This is 100% recyclable. Oh, great, tick. I'm an architect. No offense.
For all our listeners out there, you have to agree.
Censor that
Aidan
one.
does dress like an architect.
I'm not an architect, but they would tell me that. You go, tick. They're looking for something because these guys are time poor.
Yeah.
But they want the confidence that the materials they're using are good for the environment, good for human health, and have low carbon impacts. So when somebody throws out recyclable, they can throw out all sorts of phrases and aspirational words like that. There's a tendency to tick the box.
Yes.
It doesn't mean anyone's recycling.
Well, you could say anything's recyclable.
You can. So really then it has to come to be verification is so important. So third-party verification is key to all this. I can talk about our emissions, I can talk about our carbon footprint, but these are all third-party verified. So scientifically modelled, verified to a standard that you can compare then apples with apples.
Yeah.
And that gets rid of the greenwash.
Yeah.
So I think it's very, very important that transparency is there, that there's a third-party verification, and therefore the claims are not greenwash.
Yeah.
And I think here in Australia it's fantastic because the ACCC has stepped in.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's been a couple of big claims there. I think one of our big energy providers was taken to the cleaners by Parent Climate Group because they were selling carbon neutral energy.
Oh, yes, I do remember this.
And a big apology from that energy provider because the emissions were still there. The carbon neutrality did not mean it was emissions free.
Yeah.
Which goes back again, greenwash. It's leading people to believe one thing, that they're doing the right thing. It's a comfort blanket.
Yeah.
And you think you're doing the right thing. So recyclable, carbon neutral, organic, fully recycled. These things don't mean anything unless you're measuring the impacts.
Yeah. So I'm not letting you get a question.
I'm loving this.
I like the recycled aspect of carpet tiles. I've always been interested in, and I think in 2020 thereabouts, I reached out to you just asking more questions about after I'd done a tour of Interface's factory. So, do you think end of life carpet tiles in Australia? Are we sort of moving more away from the idea of actually recycling the actual product and just more designing the actual materials and like the chemistry of the materials to be more, basically to decompose or more sustainably rather than actually just shredding them up and turning them into a new product. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense because there's 100 ways you can do this. There's no silver bullet.
Yeah.
The way we look at it is those materials can be taken back. First of all, within a circular economy, reuse, refurbishment.
Yeah.
It makes sense what we're talking about earlier there. So extended life of that product. So reuse is the first thing. When we take our carpet back, we've got a network of resellers. They'll find a new home for it. I had a beautiful one recently where we took some material from about 500 square metres out of a Daxus building in Brisbane.
Yeah.
It's in a factory in Mittagong in New South Wales now.
Yeah.
And generally, it's new carpet that's been installed for make good, and then a new tenant comes in and takes it up to
That can
refit
happen.
it.
The make good thing is insane to me. I just do not understand that.
That's right.
That's
right. A tenant might walk in and say, "I do not look like this." And even if they do like it, there's a term, it'll ugly out before it wears out.
Yeah.
If you've got a 15, 20-year warranty, there's no say that the product's going to be there for 15, 20 years.
No.
It's going to be lifted. And if it's lifted, it's got another life, and there's plenty of use for that.
Yes.
So we actually focus on that because that's the first thing. No environmental impacts with reuse.
Yes.
It's reinstalled, apart from the transport impacts, which is about 3% of the footprint overall. If it's too badly worn, that's when we pop it in containers and we ship it to LaGrange in Atlanta.
Okay, yeah.
Where Interface has this recycling facility where we can we call it re-entry, the process.
Yep.
To your point earlier, Ben, there's no recycling of carpet really here in Australia.
Yeah.
It's either reuse or it's gone to landfill.
And do you think it could potentially be viable in Australia, or is it not enough?
Cost prohibitive.
Market not big enough?
It's a question of skill and it's a question of collaboration because, again, when it comes to circular economy, it's a team sport.
Yeah.
We mentioned Resoloop, and I think Resoloop is a fine example of an industry product stewardship program where all the industry members, competitors,
Yeah.
flooring companies that compete with each other, have got together and said, look, we're going to work on this.
Yeah.
We want to put a stewardship program in place to divert the waste from our products from landfill.
Yeah.
We want to actually get them back into the economy again as reuse.
Yeah.
And that's where Resoloop jumped in. So really, really good collaboration. It's a level playing field. All the big operators are part of that. And initially, we're working on the reverse logistics. We're taking back the install waste.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that as well because, again, we have improved the materials within our flooring over the years. So we don't want any legacy products in there. So the flooring industry has really cleaned up its act.
Yeah.
And therefore, these offcuts are new products coming back. No issues with legacy products. And it allows us then to build up a model where that can be converted into a value-added product.
Yes.
And that's what's happening. And then as that matures, we can start taking back the full product itself, and ultimately then even legacy products where we'll have developed processes that can deal with those chemicals in those products.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it has to happen. You can't throw a switch and have a solution overnight.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Interesting.
And do you find there's certainly when I worked in build to rent, there was a bit of an education piece that was difficult to get over. Carpet tile being used in a residential setting for bedrooms, or living rooms where you would typically put a broadloom. But particularly in a rental setting, a carpet tile option is a no-brainer in terms of longevity, ripping out one square that might have a carpet stain rather than redoing a whole bedroom, or aged care. You refresh the room, unfortunately, at the end of life of somebody. I think a carpet tile is a perfect solution. Do you find there's challenges in the education of that being a suitable product?
Look, I think, when I joined the company initially, it was always especially even in hospitality, they were saying, oh, no, carpet tile won't work. We need really plush carpet underfoot and all the rest of it. That's all changing.
Yeah.
There's come to the realization that it's about the aesthetics. First and foremost, I think it can look so good now. I mean, the equipment that we have in the factory, you've seen that walking around, these are state-of-the-art machines now. Yes. There's no design you can't make. Yeah. And you can really bring nature in. We've got these beautiful biophilic designs now. So design-wise is there. I have to admit, there's horses for courses. If you want soft, woolly carpet underfoot, you're going to go broad.
Of course. Yeah. If you want to walk on a cloud, you're not going to get
That's
that
right.
with carpet tiles.
So, but if you want resilience, if you want durability, if you want really good looks and comfort, acoustics, indoor air quality is so important as well. these products are fantastic.
Yeah.
So from a sustainability point of view as well, we look at that as well, the health and well-being of the people that are using the products. And I think that's so important. It's not just about the carbon footprint, you know, the circular economy model built around it, the materials within it. It's also about, you know, indoor air quality, aesthetics. Aesthetics, cost and service really sell it.
Yeah.
Sustainability is what underpins all that.
Yes.
The purpose.
And do you find in your role that you're essentially have to put together a business case for each new initiative, almost as if sustainability is a extra add-on cost to an underlying product, rather than the other way around being this is included?
I don't think we've ever been able to claim an extra dollar per metre squared for any sustainability initiative.
Yeah.
I think what it's given us is volume in sales,
Yep.
better margins, because ultimately if you're actually addressing waste, particularly within your manufacturing processes, you get improved margins right away.
Yeah.
And we actually even saw that. I think in the first 10 years, Interface went on the Mission Zero tack. Over $400 million saved in waste reduction alone.
Wow.
Ray Anderson was measuring at the time. Then we just stopped measuring it.
Yeah.
But you know, those efficiencies apply. So we've never really been able to claim an extra dollar. We actually have to think hard about how we're going to get this into the market. I mean, for instance, last year we decided we would go all in about emissions reduction. We're going to drop.
You weren't already?
Yeah,
I
it
thought you
sounds
guys
pretty
were.
good.
Well, what we were doing was we were reducing our emissions, which is correct. What you do,
Yes.
you measure, you reduce, and you mitigate. We were purchasing offsets. Last year we decided.
Yeah, I see
when
what
we
you're
said
saying.
go all in, we said okay, we're not offsetting. First of
I
all,
like that.
carbon neutral is almost like it's like a comfort blanket.
Yeah.
We're okay now. We're treading water. We're still emitting.
Yes.
So we're going all in and reducing emissions, absolutely.
Yes.
And we set science-based targets, 2030 targets.
Yeah.
But that's without offsets. And we we really had to think hard about going to the market with that, because we felt people might think, well, you know, what's the story there?
Yeah.
They're not carbon neutral anymore. You know,
Yeah.
is an issue.
You don't have the
but we've
badge,
actually
yeah.
diverted that, the funding, the funds for
Yeah.
purchasing offsets
Yeah.
into innovation.
Yeah.
That's
That
cool.
makes so much sense to
And
me.
that's where so we actually have set real targets for 2030, and we're over 50% of the way there.
Yeah.
With the 2019 baseline.
Yeah.
In other words, we looked at our emissions in 2019 and we said, even if we grow our sales, even if we grow our output, we're still going to halve those emissions.
Yeah.
So the emissions that's the way it's working.
Yeah, wow.
This year, our last impact report, we were able to see that while our sales increased, our emissions are still going down, and we're 50% less than 2019.
Interesting.
50,
I-
wow.
50% less than 2019.
I have heard other people talk about diverting the spend from offsets to just actually using that money to actually just improve the business, to just reduce the actual.
Which makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
It does. It does, particularly, I always remember being at a GBC event, Transform, a few years back, and Professor Andrew McIntosh of ANU stood up, and he slated the Australian credits, carbon credits.
Yeah.
He said 70 to 80% were not doing what they say on the label.
Really?
That would have been before the Four Corners investigation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I think Four Corners took that and ran with it.
Yeah.
And yes, you'd have seen that.
Yes.
So there's a cloud over offsets. I'm not saying they're bad.
Yeah.
But you know, it's very hard to justify.
Yeah.
And I think in our case, we just felt, well, you know, let's not mitigate those emissions.
Yeah.
Let's reduce them.
Yeah.
Because it is that comfort blanket thing. If you think you're carbon neutral, don't have to do any more. And in fact, you know, in some cases, it's almost a license for the big emitters to keep on emitting.
Yeah. Well, it's like the new version of greenwashing.
It is.
Really?
It's sad to say it's been abused. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
And do you think it's a larger market, or had been a larger market in Australia around credits than internationally, or is it a wide scale?
I don't think it was any bigger here than anywhere else. In
Yeah,
fact,
okay.
I think Australia's been, you know,
You know,
doing the heavy lifting on this, and yes, purchasing offsets, and I think that's been admirable. But you know, once you start to see that the quality, if they aren't that good, then you have to have a rethink about really.
Yeah.
I always think that, you know, I want to jump into the science here. The year I was born, this guy, Dr. Keeling, started to measure CO2 levels in the atmosphere in Hawaii,
Okay.
off an island in Hawaii. It's called the Keeling curve, and you can name any climate action or initiative taken globally or by country over the last 67 years, and those CO2 levels are still going up and up and up. There's not even a dip in the line. It's going up and starting to go up exponentially. So Kyoto protocols, Paris agreements, COP 21, 26, 27, whatever the COP is, those emissions are still going up. So we're obviously doing something wrong. And offsets are not addressing that.
Yeah.
So we're just continuing to emit.
Yeah.
And we have to stop. It's not even plateauing. It's not even leveling off.
It's incredible. Since the Industrial Revolution, I think it's basically skyrocketed.
Yeah, I always like to blame the Brits for that. They invented the steam engine. They started to dig up coal. They released the genie from the bottle. And I'm only joking to all my friends from the UK out there. But the Industrial Revolution started there. We started to drive our economies with fossil fuels. And that's the big problem. I started in the petrochemical industry.
Yes.
For my sins, I've come all the way here today to talk to you guys about it. Yeah.
I read this life-changing book for me called The 1.5 Degree Lifestyle. I'm not sure if you've seen it before, but basically it breaks down what it would look like if we were to all, chasing the 1.5 degree maximum, rise in temperature globally. What would that look like as an individual lifestyle? And mapping out, I tried it for about 6 months where I mapped out my carbon offset right down to coffees, electricity, everything. It was quite intense.
Oh, good man. Wow. You did your own footprint.
I could not, negate. I think what it highlighted to me was I couldn't live sustainably enough to, break even, basically. But what I could do, what it did highlight was the small changes that I could make in my overall lifestyle that did cost me something.
Yep.
But anything good costs you something. It's like going to the gym. Not that I also need to do that.
I'm sucking my stomach in right now. I'm fine. I don't have to.
But it did highlight, the awareness around what I eat, how I travel, where I buy my clothes from, where I buy my power from, what colour, we were in a position to build a home, and do I right down to put a white roof on there to reflect some heat that may reduce some temperatures over in the summertime, over a black concrete tile roof. All these sorts of decisions, I think, was amazing to be aware of.
Yep.
And I'm curious, from Interface's point of view, what you're excited about now that you've had, 30 plus years of sustainable actions and gathering data and doing all these incredible emissions. What is the ultimate goal, or what are you excited about that keeps you driving forward with these, day to day?
I think it's actually looking at your generation coming through is the exciting thing, because I've run my course effectively. I've only a few years left, and I think of what we've done is excellent. When I look at what's ahead, 2040, that goal of being regenerative or restorative. Yeah. But that's a very good example of what you're saying there. All those little things that you have to do, in fact, big things, to try and actually hold that 1.5 degree. When I mentioned science-based targets earlier, our 50% reduction in emissions allows us to align with that 1.5 degrees. And that's exactly what you're doing on a personal level, we're doing on a company level. So reducing our purchased goods and services emissions by 50%. That's working with our suppliers.
Amazing.
So we're working very closely with our suppliers. We know where the big emitters are to reduce their emissions. They reduce theirs, ours are reduced. And I think that's where the influence comes in. And I think the fact that you're even thinking about that is fantastic. I'd love to have a white roof on the house. I don't. I bought an old house down in Barrow, the Highlands. But I have covered it with solar panels. I'm putting a battery in now.
Cool.
Nice. I don't have a car. So,
really?
I take the train.
Wow, cool.
But, if you get off an old diesel train at 11 o'clock at night and you're the only person on it, you've got to think your footprint is quite high.
Was it going to run without you on it or
It's
not?
going to run anyway. It's going to run anyway. But I always think that's funny. I say, I take the train, it's lower footprint. But it's like 2 carriages. I'm there 11:15 at night, getting into Barrel and,
And a lot of trains now actually use green power, from what I'm told. At least Melbourne.
Really?
Melbourne, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's I think that's a lot of the hard lifting will be done for us when our grid becomes renewable. I think the exciting stuff is the initiatives that are coming through now, and I think there's a generation with the energy and the initiative to go for it. I think there's a big obstacle there. It's like trying to get people to stop smoking. It's trying to get people off oil. And the same thing applies. The tobacco industry would have told you that there's nothing to see here. The oil industry will do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think really I started out in the petrochemicals. My ultimate goal now would be just to turn the tap off to oil. That's Interface's ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Turn that tap off.
Wow.
We're not going to use oil anymore for anything. Wow. And that's going to be a hard one.
It's a big, yeah.
It's going to be a difficult one. Whatever about the materials in the product, you look at the energy we use. We use fossil gas in our factory. Our electricity is 100% renewable, but the gas isn't.
Yeah.
We have to go electric in that factory.
Yeah.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's what we're working on now.
Interesting. And just on the white roof point that you made, it popped into my head that, you know, sustainability, from your point of view, the interfaces the manufacturer. You can think about everything for recycling carpet and the materials, but at the end of the day, it also is the specifier's responsibility to specify a fit-for-purpose product.
That's right. Yeah.
Because if they specify a white carpet in a high-traffic area, well, that is not sustainable because you're not going to be able to maintain it. It's going to look filthy, and they're going to replace it in a year.
That's right.
Or a bright colour.
That's right.
So it's not just your problem.
We'd be happy with that because we'd send you new carpet, but at least we could take that back, clean it up, and put it in a place where it's fit for purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, you know, it's not just the manufacturer's problem.
No.
It's also the people that specify. Yeah.
That's key. That's a very good point, man, because what I was saying earlier, like circular economy is a team sport, but if you're talking about climate action, it really is about collaboration.
Yeah.
I do a CPD for architects and designers called Design with Climate in Mind, and it's that very point. You have to look at all aspects of your design.
Yeah.
You know, are you putting in something that's fit for purpose? Is it going to have longevity?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to those materials end of life? Are they sustainably sourced? Social impacts you have to be aware of as well. You know, again, we talk about, let's go timber. It's carbon sequestering and all the rest. But where's the timber sourced from?
Yes.
You know, and you have to really be very, very careful. So social procurement is a big aspect of what we're doing now as well, not just about the materials.
Yeah.
And I think you're talking about white roofs. I go past a big development out in Menangle on the way from Barrel to Sydney in the morning, all white roofs. It's a Mirvac.
Really?
Okay.
Build.
With sunglasses.
Estate.
Yeah. That's one downside.
Some people think I think it's a good look. You know.
Yeah, I like it.
I think it's great, and I think the more greenery you see in that as well, because if you're living out in the west of Sydney and these heat sinks where there are no trees, it's all concrete, and what do people do? They turn on their air conditioners, which blasts more heat out onto the street.
Yeah.
It's stifling.
Yeah.
So the temperatures are there are probably 5-6 degrees higher than they will be in the Mirvac establishment.
Yeah.
Very cool. And my establishment in Mernda, Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah. Go small, go white roof.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time.
No, lads, it was worth the trip out here.
I'm glad, and I hope the coffee.
And the coffee was good.
Fantastic.
The coffee was good. Yeah. So thanks very, very much for that. And and the best of luck with you and your business, as I say.
Thank you.
It's we're all in this together. Let's make it work.